The Intel Arrow Lake launch has stirred up mixed reactions amongst the TechTube community. How am I feeling about it? Hey, what's cracking everybody? Welcome back to Computer Games Hardware. Today on the channel, we're talking about the reaction to the Arrow Lake launch, and I also want to touch on some issues that have been plaguing Zen 5 and even NVIDIA's Blackwell architecture, but for the most part, this is going to be about Arrow Lake. So, for those of you who don't know, Arrow Lake is Intel's 15th generation of CPUs, and it has just launched to a bit of a mixed reaction. While we were expecting about a 15% uplift in multi-threaded performance, and then maybe a 5% uplift in single-threaded performance, Intel has been claiming that they're looking at gaming parity for their 14th generation because they've been focusing on efficiency for this generation of CPUs. So this time around, Intel have made it clear that they're focusing on efficiency rather than gaming performance this time around. The gaming benchmarks may not have lived up to the expectations that Intel were expecting. Some reviewers like Hardware Unboxing Gamers Nexus didn't find Intel breaking any ground at all in their gaming performance benchmarks, and that's a little bit concerning. Steve from Gamers Nexus even made the bold claim that Arrow Lake isn't ready for launch at this stage. Stuff like Intel's application optimization, their APO not being turned on by default, despite Intel providing written confirmation that it will be on by default without fail. And that's an important part of Intel's performance claims here, right? Along with Intel's dynamic tuning technology. These were the technologies that were turned on by default in their launch slide benchmarks. So the claims that they were making in those benchmarks were using those technologies, and they were supposed to be on by default right from the motherboard manufacturer, so we knew we were getting the same performance out of the box that we were expecting. There was no going into the BIOS and turning anything on. Those optimizations were all turned on in the slides that we looked at in our Intel launch video last week, and you can check that out somewhere up there. And by the way, big thank you to all you guys for blowing up that video. I really appreciate it, and I was really impressed by the thoughtful comments and all the insight you guys had with the speculating on the performance and things like that. There was some really good conversations happening there. You guys are an awesome community, so appreciate you all. So it turns out that APO and dynamic tuning were not turned on by default, and reviewers were the ones finding this out. So this is a little bit of an issue for Intel, particularly because they didn't know about it. So it was quite concerning, and I think even Steve from Gamers Nexus said that they should be reviewing it, not being a bug tester for the launch, because essentially the retail boxes are out there. You can purchase these things now. So that's not a good look for Intel. So what that means is it's going to be another Zen 5 situation where updates are going to be needed to be rolled out, but instead of it being Windows, it's going to be BIOS updates from motherboard manufacturers. So that means different timeframes, different implementations, different potential performance uplift and downlift, and it's going to be a little bit messy. So that's pretty annoying, man. The new Core Ultra chips also lag behind Zen 4 X3D chips and Intel's 4th generation, the 14900K and the like, in some gaming benchmarks, even though Intel claims to narrow the gap between 5 and 7%. So naturally, this means that gaming-focused tech tubers are not reviewing the Arrow Lake CPUs as favorably as Intel would like, because there's a real-world gaming benchmark shortfall there that's more than 5 to 7%. And, it's always going to happen. There's going to be different system configurations, and, they haven't got their APO and their dynamic tuning turned on. So people aren't seeing the performance that they're expecting. Hey, just want to jump in here and say, if you're enjoying any of the content on Computer Games Hardware, please chuck us a like, share, and subscribe. And watching the videos really helps me out, guys. Really appreciate all our new subscribers, and a big hello to all the OGs out there who have stuck with us from day one. Appreciate you all. You can check out our socials in the description below, and you can also check out all our affiliate links. Thanks for watching, guys. And personally, as a gaming hardware focused channel, it's really hard not to feel underwhelmed by the launch. It's also fair to say that I'm not as disappointed in the Arrow Lake launch as I was with the Zen 5 launch. And the reason for that is simple. Intel put in a lot of work to manage our expectations. They really went into detail that there was going to be the dreaded gaming parity that we talked about, and they really made it clear that this was about power efficiency and, not gaming performance this generation around. So, Intel got me well prepared for the meh. In terms of power efficiency, Arrow Lake has been pretty well received. There are notable reductions in power consumption. As an example, the Core Ultra 9 285K can match the 9950X's performance at a lower power consumption rate, which is a bit of a win for Arrow Lake in this instance. However, the 7800 X3D still beats the 285K in gaming performance and power efficiency. It's also worth noting that some of the power savings for the Core Ultra 9 were due to vendor gaming specific power optimizations to be able to reach those power saving benchmarks. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. So you know what, as Intel claimed, there's a bit of good and there's a bit of bad. The gaming parity probably isn't as prominent as Intel hoped, but that's their own fault. They were unaware that some of their core features were not turned on by default. So what can they do? They have to send out statements. They have to go back and, push some updates and do all that kind of stuff that we've all gotten a bit familiar with over the last couple of years. And it's been a little bit demoralizing in the tech. It's hard to get excited about things when you sort of know how these launches are going to go. Anyway, that's not the real problem to me. The real problem, and you guys know me by now, I touched on it a little bit in the previous video, but it always comes down to the price. And for me, they just haven't hit the mark. We know a little bit more about how it slots into the market at the moment. So the Core Ultra series sort of roundabout slots in around $50 cheaper than all AMD CPUs. So you've got the 9950X and then you've got the Core Ultra 9. And then, so that's how it sort of works. But I really thought that Intel were going to be really aggressive on their pricing and win back some of the market share with consumer confidence. But they haven't done that this time around. What they've done instead is they've just price matched AMD. And I don't think that's a particularly good move. I would have thought that they would have taken into consideration the performance gains or the lack of performance gains in this CPU architecture. They would have taken into consideration the the hardware issues that they've been having with degradation and stability issues, and won back some consumer confidence with some really aggressive pricing that was for their customers. They haven't done that at all. All they've done is price match the competition. So they've gone, we're going to beat AMD on price, and that's all we care about, which is a little bit disappointing. If they focused a bit more on their consumers, I think they would have, won in the price war here. They haven't really done that, and in some instances, it's probably worth going with the AMD chip despite the price difference. You also have to factor in the price of LGA 1581. These new Arrow Lake processors are not compatible with any existing Intel motherboards that are on the market currently. So you have to do a full system upgrade to get your hands on one of these CPUs. And for me, I think that's a big barrier for even those who want to upgrade. It's kind of similar to the Zen 4 launch actually, where a full system upgrade kind of didn't make sense right up until the X3D chips launched. And you know what? There is some pretty cool stuff in the 800 series chipset. But Intel can't expect their customers to suffer through a full system upgrade for gaming parity when we now know that that means a little bit of a downgrade in most titles. It's just not good enough, especially when Intel can't even guarantee that there won't be another chipset upgrade for the next generation. As a matter of fact, it's probably likely that they're going to require one because of the improvements in AI and all the new memory technology that has been rapidly improving. It's almost guaranteed that this is going to be a one and done chipset. So, it's a bit of an ask for not that much performance. And you know what? I could see what Intel were trying to do. I kind of liked the attitude that they were taking to this. It just sort of fell down in the implementation. And this has been true for lots of hardware launches over the last couple of years. For me, it's becoming clear that the risk of early adoption is far outstripping any of the benefits that you might see. And this has been happening over the last couple of years. You saw it in the Zen 5 launch as well. You can see that coming up in the Blackwell GPU architecture from NVIDIA as well. They've had massive issues. Things aren't working out. And that's because we're trying to implement a new era of technology. Look, the big three are capitalizing on new technologies such as AI, new memory, and all these things in markets other than the PC gaming enthusiast market. And they're actually posting huge profits because of it. They're really struggling to find an enthusiast level point of entry for this hardware that gives consumers the performance uplift that they're looking for at a price that probably reflects the true value of the hardware if you want to be nice to these big corporations. And that's going to be a little bit of a problem for us going forward for a little while. Things are either going to start to get more expensive and harder to get, or we're going to suffer through, a few years of, hardware stagnation where things we don't see huge improvements. Hey, Future Dan here. Just had to re-record this last little section because unfortunately the audio died on the last clip. So if I look and sound a little bit different, that's why, guys. Anyway, I just want to round this video out by saying, look, I'm cautiously optimistic that the power and the efficiency improvements in this architecture have all been necessary steps that will eventually lead to better gaming performance somewhere down the line. I'm kind of liking it to the first implementation of RTX. It was a little bit expensive, wasn't in many games, wasn't working, quite as intended, and it needed some time to improve and mature. So I think with some, good updates and a little bit of maturity in these architectures, we will start to see the price to performance that we're looking for and the gaming performance somewhere down the line. So I'm holding out that this is going to be something good for the future of these platforms. So what about gaming performance in the meantime? Well, I still think AMD has the perfect opportunity to swoop in with their X3D products and blow everyone out of the water. And it looks like that's what's going to happen from now way into 2025. There are rumors that the Geekbench performance metrics have been leaked. There's some interesting hardware changes to the CCDs and things like that are just popping up in the last 48 hours as well. So it looks like X3D is going to be an exciting prospect for gamers. We might even be seeing a 22% increase over the 7000 series X3D product. So that is pretty exciting, and I think that that's what most gamers are looking for. So we haven't got much time to wait. That will be announced very soon. So stick around on Computer Games Hardware and we will run through it together. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you for being such an awesome community and all the contributions over the last couple of weeks. I really do appreciate it. So I've had a really good time making this one. I hope you guys have a good time watching it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.